Books are one of 2b2t's most commonly collected items. Three main factors often determine their value: the player who wrote it, the book's age, and its rarity. These books usually store countless stories, base history, memes, autographs, etc. Which raises the question, what are the rarest books on the server? Today in this video, you'll learn about the rarest books on 2b2t that were used to exploit, made a player turn into a god, and other strange events handpicked by 2b2t's #1 book collector, crystallizing. We'll start with possibly 2b2t's oldest book, and the discovery of this book happened by chance in 2018. While traveling away from spawn, a player named 123fly123 happened to cross old chunks that formed a trail on both axes. He followed this trail by horse for 2 days until his tracer picked up storage containers deep underground in a jungle. Hidden under the grass was a passage that led to an open room near the bottom of the world. It had a small underground tree farm and some strange floor decorations with jack-o'-lanterns, stairs, and lapis lazuli blocks randomly placed about. Most of the chests were full of rubbish, but amongst some enchanted books, there lay the Xmas Carol's 2012 book. If it weren't for the fact 123fly123 was checking enchantments on the books, he probably would have missed it. The book is a funny twist on some classic Christmas carols and is definitely not family friendly for YouTube, but just the kind of stuff you would expect on 2b2t. The book was written by a player named X_Resin, and the player data on NameMC for X_Resin dates back to that time. Given that written books were added in August of 2012, it's potentially the server's oldest confirmed and surviving written book. Another contender would have been an old player named Jack the Ripper when he was walking out to establish his base called the Lands in August 2012. He started writing down a journal immediately after the update, but it no longer exists, so there's no way to confirm it. Our next story also began in 2012 and involved an exploit. Around the middle of 2012, the players Frickin, Cobra51, and Victor Maraqui decided to build a base called 500k base. During the beginning of 500k base, book and quills were added to the server, but there was a problem with the way Mojang implemented them. Book and quills were designed so that the text inside could be edited. However, not only could the text be edited, but every aspect of the book, with a server accepting any modifications a client would throw at it. A Minecraft player named VeritasDL developed a mod that allowed any book to be enchanted to its maximum program enchantment level of 32,767. X0XP found this mod and was the first player to use it on 2b2t. X0XP would tell Frickin's group about this exploit, and together, they would start making 32k enchantments with looting, sharpness, efficiency, etc. When they hit a mob, like a creeper, with a 32k sharpness and looting book, it would explode and drop double chests of gunpowder. One of the favorite things Frickin's group would do was hit each other with 32k knockback, sending them flying hundreds of blocks in one direction. These experiments would lag the server. This exploit was used by other players on the server, like Jack the Ripper, who used it to slay zombie pigmen and used 32k looting to collect massive amounts of gold. Frickin's group would also travel to spawn with 32k sharpness books and one-shot players, which leads to one of the weird side effects of these books. One day in late 2012, a new player named Andor333 was trying to escape spawn. X0XP saw Andor at spawn and would punch him several times with a 32k sharpness and fire aspect book. This made Andor enter into a state of being a ghost. He couldn't do anything and logged out and logged back in. However, upon logging back in, he was immortal. No matter what happened or who did what, he was invincible. Andor would brag about it and show himself with no hunger or drowning in water, but nothing happened to him. Andor got so cocky, he decided to challenge X0XP as he had bullied him. But there was a problem. Andor was not really immortal. He just had a massive health pool. When Andor was hit with the 32k book several times, it rolled his health into the negatives, and so X0XP and Andor met up, and when X0XP hit Andor with a 32k book, he finally died as his negative health was rolled back to the positives, stripping him of his immortality in only a day. Another few things they could do with this exploit was alter the book's signer and manipulate a book's title. Since the book data wasn't checked, a player could fill in their name and send it to the server, and the server wouldn't verify that name is the same player that signed the book. Frickin's group would create a book called Chords, a fake book signed by Hausemaster, and inside had a list of players with their X and Y coordinates. They would repeatedly post this book in the chat to scare players that they knew where anyone was. Many players fell for it and would complain that the server was an anarchy. They also made books that would have weird titles that would survive even to this day. Players tried replicating Andor 333's Immortality, but only 2 days after the 32k book exploit started spreading around the server, 2b2t updated to Minecraft version 1.4, which patched the book hack forever. The remaining fake signed books would remain on the server, but one day, Frickin logs in to move items from 500k base to a stash, but discovers that all the contents in their chests, including the books, have been taken. After searching around, Frickin finds one book from a player named Jumbo Warrior saying that he had taken the valuables to a museum. If these books could remain the same, could Andor have stayed immortal if he had logged out or played it smart? Jack the Ripper tested this theory in one of his videos, and the results were pretty interesting. So if you want that answer, I'll link that video in the description. Since Hausemaster's books could have been faked using the 32k book exploit, could there be any real books signed by Hausemaster? Well, one story has the most evidence. In 2019, about 2 million blocks out, traversing the nether, 123fly123 was taken by surprise when he came across a train track that ran off into the distance. The track was constructed in what appeared to be 2012 dated chunks, and the last time the chunks had been loaded was in 2013 at the latest. He traveled the tunnel until he reached a nether stash. There, he found a sign atop a grass block in the nether saying, "Spawned by Hausemaster, September 10th, 2012. 123fly123 entered the portal to the overworld, revealing an expansive base with chests in dozens cluttered over the extreme hills biome and strange looking buildings. In the netherrack hut on the surface, he discovered 2 Hausemaster books. After he found these first 2, he became cautious of opening any more chests due to the Legals plugin and didn't want to revert anything by accident. 123fly123 began to hopper multiple chests until he came across a 3rd Hausemaster book called Jimyy is a Nice Person in a Floating Castle. Using .peek, he could see the book still had its original 3 tags, signifying it was indeed of that period. Not long after this event, 123fly123 died while AFK at the base with no death message and ended up at spawn. The rest of the chests were never hoppered, and the contents were empty when the players 123fly123, 4pilot, and Courier 6 returned. Both 4pilot and Courier 6 were randomly teleported back to spawn while they were AFK, and chunks of the base started to disappear. These books could have been made using the 32k book exploit, but with the strange occurrences at the base, it's also likely to be the only real and surviving Hausemaster books on the server. Crystallizing also sent me some books that have weird properties. Players were able to have colored book titles, but sometime in 2021, Hausemaster added a plugin where it would change book titles to written book and cleared books with many pages. This was made to prevent book banning, when players would throw 3 shulkers of books with the pages filled with contents to overload players' data in NBT and prevent them from joining. Many contents of books were lost, and the only remaining colored books exist in unloaded chunks before the patch. Another rare book is an enchanted book with a durability of 0. Some notable rare player books are from the Camping Rusher, Mr. Beast, Etika, and a 2-letter Minecraft IGN by 2b. Many more rare player books exist in Crystallizing's book Discord. Thousands of players have archived and sold their books here. If you wanted to check if an old player like iTristan made a book, all you gotta do is type !search iTristan, and you get a whole list from that player. So if you want to check books out for yourself, I'll leave a link in the description. The final rare books I want to talk about are controversial as to whether they exist. Tattered books. FitMC has made a video about these, so I'll briefly describe them. Tattered books are a property a Minecraft book can have that prevents them from being copied. These books can only be created with admin permissions. If these books existed, they would have been made during one of 2b2t's backdoors. The only player that is known to own these books is a player named Alpha Computer. However, when I messaged him for this video, he told me they were fake. The only existing screenshots of these books were made sometime during Minecraft version 1.11 or 1.12 in 2018, when Mojang added hotbar saving for creative mode. Alpha Computer used a client that removed the check for creative mode and had a peek function added. They wasn't aware of this information, and the screenshots were passed around in the book trading community. Alpha Computer wished they were real, since he had players offer him $1,000 per book. So, what do you think? Which of all these books in the video do you think is the rarest?